Fire, destruction, and twisted metal!
These videos are not for children. If you're a children, then piss off.
Hey there, it's me, your least favorite YouTuber, Infuso. And if you knew me at all, you'd know that I have my own weird fondness for psychotic murderous clowns. And it was that very reason that first attracted me to the Twisted Metal series. As a kid, I just remember thinking, that clown looks dope. And as it turns out, he's actually kinda sick. And I mean that in a variety of ways. I feel like Twisted Metal is a lot like Mortal Kombat, in the sense that there's an expanded and interesting lore behind the games, but all of that is usually overlooked in favor of the action and violence the series have become both infamous and famous for. I've been saying for years now that a Twisted Metal movie should be in the cards. These stories can be, and should be, translated through media. I think that these stories would really work on the big and small screens. And as much as I love the gameplay that these games have to offer, I have an even greater love for the stories that accompany them. So you can imagine that I'm pretty psyched to know that we're going to be getting a Twisted Metal TV show soon. What's funny is the first time that I ever heard of such a series was when friend of the channel and Twisted Metal series creator David Jaffe joined us here on the channel for a bad movie night.
I had a conversation recently with the guys who are doing the Twisted Metal TV series through PlayStation Productions. And I can't obviously tell you anything. You know how these things go. Who knows if it'll ever get off the ground. But the pilot's been written. It's been greenlit by the people that need to greenlight it. Whether or not it actually goes before cameras, who the fuck knows. But when they told me there are two names that I can't say that are very interested in, like, the Sweet Tooth role and another role, and I was just like, oh my god, really? Those people? Not in a bad way, but like in a, I don't know, yeah. Why would they be interested in that? Okay, great.
His enthusiasm for the project was infectious, and ever since that interaction, I found myself just imagining what's to come. Well, it seems like we've since been given a few more details on the project. We're now looking at a post-apocalyptic world, filled with as many psychopaths as it is cars. So just imagine that Mortal Kombat comparison I made earlier meets Mad Max. I'm personally in favor of this atmosphere. I think this setting really lends itself as an unsafe haven to the absolute lunacy of these games. So I have nothing but praise for what they're doing here. The series lead will be character John Doe, who originally got his start back in Twisted Metal Black, a game that led to so many loving nightmares for me as a kid. He's an amnesiac who knows nothing about his past, real name included. In this, he's being played by the former Falcon and current Captain America, Anthony Mackie, which is a little bit confusing considering that John Doe was originally depicted as being a man of his own, culture, spelled with a K. Some would say that he was a little bit of, how do I say this without getting demonetized? Some would say that he was a Wyatt supremacist. Did you guys get the code there? You understand? Okay, I just want to make sure. The character was clearly involved in a hateful crew. Also, once again, spelled with a K. A terrible group of people who probably wouldn't approve of his current casting. Obviously, that portion of the character's story has been stricken from the record, which makes sense as these Twisted Metal games never really followed just one narrative. They constantly retconned and recreated characters with each new installment. The games don't really follow each other per se, maybe some select storylines here and there depending on who you're playing as, but for the most part, each game is an alternate version of events with different variants of the characters. So removing this context of the character isn't necessarily a betrayal of the character, as it probably would have been changed anyway had he made it to another game. I gotta say, while John Doe isn't necessarily a series favorite for anybody, the character appeared in all of one game, was scheduled for 2, but only made it to 1, because the second one didn't get made. But making him the main character here actually makes a lot of sense to me. The fact that he remembers so little means that he now has to relearn the world of Twisted Metal, and it means the audience watching along would be learning with him. His character also probably would start off as a blank slate, developing more over time as he continues to uncover the mystery of his past. I've heard a couple complaints about people saying that Sweet Tooth should be the main character, but that's not really how things work.
You don't know!
Yes, Sweet Tooth is absolutely the franchise's most famous character. He is very much the game's mascot. It was him who made it to the Super Smash Bros. Ripoff that PlayStation did, not John Doe. But Sweet Tooth really isn't the character that you'd want to follow so intently. He'll still undoubtedly have a big presence in the plot. I can't imagine how one could make a Twisted Metal series of any kind without him. He's one of only 3 characters who's appeared in every Twisted Metal game ever made, alongside Calypso, the tournament's creator, and Mr. Grimm. So don't worry, he's going to be involved in some form or fashion, but we don't want an overabundance of the character. We want him to feel special. In the Friday the 13th movies, we don't follow Jason around. We follow around his victims. Obviously, Jason still plays into the plot, but it's not his story that we're following. It's those who come across him. I think this series will work in a very similar fashion. It also appears that Scream star Neve Campbell will be joining the cast as Raven, who is another Twisted Metal Black alum. She's gothic because, just about every character written in fiction with the name Raven legally needs to be. She's a dark, broody young woman who's versed in voodoo. But that really seemed to be the beginning and end of her character arc. In Twisted Metal Black, she's an outcast teenager who's out to avenge the death of her best friend. Like John Doe, she's only appeared in one game. The character was definitely one of the weaker characters that the series created. It's certainly not terrible by any means, but she just feels less fleshed out in comparison to many of the other characters in the series. It's like they had a concept, but they never quite got past that stage in her development. Then again, a lot of characters start off as basic and develop more over continual sequels, so maybe given the right amount of time, this character would have been more memorable. I personally always wondered if this character was supposed to be a gender-swapped, aged-down version of Mortimer Sharf from the earlier games, but that's neither here nor there. That's not who we're talking about. Regardless, there will once again definitely be some changes made to this character, as Neve Campbell probably won't be playing a teenager or a young adult, because, she's already put in her dues in that department. Then there's the character of Agent Stone. The character was originally depicted as being some sort of James Bond type. His description in the original Twisted Metal game was as a special agent going head-to-head with the US government in search of an item that could liberate the world, which is a description that tells you his motivation, but nothing else. When the character makes a reappearance in Twisted Metal Small Brawl, he's a PG version of his predecessor. But in Twisted Metal Black, he's a completely different character. He's a police officer with a dissociative disorder that's brought on by severe trauma. Now, I think that the latter version of the character probably makes the most sense here, as the other versions of the character seem much more like a joke when the series wasn't fully figured out. But also, considering that all the other contestants seem to be pulled directly from Twisted Metal Black, I think it stands to reason that this version of the character will probably be pulled from that continuity as well. Or at the very least, taken inspiration from that continuity. It's actually just been announced that the character is being portrayed by former Sandman, Thomas Hayden Church. So whatever it is they decide to go with here, it's probably already a home run. I love that guy's work. There are also going to be characters that are made exclusively for the series. I've seen some annoyance from some fans at the inclusion of original characters in the show, but there were always new characters added every couple of games anyway. So a fresh face here and there isn't going to ruin anything. As a matter of fact, it'd be entirely in tone with what Twisted Metal sets up. The character of Quiet has been described as this in casting.
Peacock is looking for a woman, aged 25 to 29, of any ethnicity, to portray Quiet, a series regular. Quiet grew up in an oppressed community and was not allowed to speak. As she grew up and was allowed to talk freely, Quiet's inability to speak gave her new insight into the world she lives in by being an observer. She uses her words very deliberately and isn't afraid to stand up for herself or others. She is also skilled in combat, utilizing a knife as her weapon of choice. Though her life has been hard, Quiet manages to maintain a dry sense of humor. After Quiet has a run-in with the wrong man, she is set on a mission of vengeance.
Which isn't the worst character description I've read this week. That one goes to Gotham Knights the TV series. I look forward to seeing such a character make their on-screen debut, and seeing how well she fits into the world of Twisted Metal. I'm hoping for something seamless that does more to add than take away from the show. I'm sure Quiet will be quite the addition, as she's being portrayed by the extremely talented Stephanie Beatrice, known to many as Rosa from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Mirabelle from Encanto, and Batwoman in Catwoman Hunted. I'm a big fan of her work, so I have high hopes for incorporation into the plot. As of right now, that's all for the confirmed cast. But I distinctly remember hearing a couple months back that Will Arnett was scheduled to take part in this production. I'm just going to be bold enough to take a bet here and say, that's our Sweet Tooth. I guarantee it. If Will Arnett is in Twisted Metal, He is Sweet Tooth, and I am here for it. Don't get me wrong, physically he may not match up to the Killer Clown, but psychologically, I think this guy's got it down. Plus, I can completely hear that voice coming out of this character. I think Needles Kane would have to be played by someone who has a sense of dark comedic timing. Someone who could portray sarcasm in the face of insanity, while also being the face of insanity. Look, it's like my grandmother always said, if there's a will, there's a way. And if Will is in, this is gonna be way awesome. I'm a very big fan of this property, and I'm a very big fan of the people that have been chosen to be in it. As a matter of fact, I would say that there are very few projects I'm looking forward to as much as I'm looking forward to this. I have been a die-hard Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, X-Man fan my entire life. And yet, as of right now, I'm more excited to see what's gonna be done with this. I have so much early life nostalgia for the series, and so much late in life love for these games, that just by the title of Twisted Metal alone, they had my interest. But now seeing all the talent that's attached to this, they have my money. You tell me where to send it, it is yours. Anyway, I'm very much looking forward to the Twisted Metal series. You can guarantee I'm going to be talking about it here on this channel when it comes out, but I want to hear some of your opinions. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of this casting, and what your ideal Twisted Metal casting is. But anyway, with all that being said, I was your least favorite YouTuber, Infuso, and I thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.
I am vengeance. I am the night, and that was Infuso. Just remember, if you're not tuning in, then you're missing out.
So, if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole, and you too would like to become a V-generate, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, nerds!
And if you're not joining the fun, you're in for one bad day. And you know what they say about having one bad day?
Catch him next time. Same bat time. Same bat channel.